Today I'm in Lancaster and I've come to meet one of the people behind the Lancaster Silent Movie and Classic Film Club. Let's go and find out what it's all about. Right, so I'm with Ray Turner, who is one of the members of the Lancaster Silent Movie and Classic Film Club. Ray, tell me, how did the club get started?
Kind of by accident, actually. And in fact, 3 years ago, what happened, I was in a pub with a friend and we were talking about music, and he started talking about Tangerine Dream, saying that what he liked about their music was that they did all these little fancy sound effects and things, and he knew that that had taken them like weeks in a studio, sort of, stuff that people can now do on their phone. He knew that they'd had to really work at it, and he just casually said, are there any films like that? And I mentioned Sunrise, which is a Murnau movie, and so we started talking about Sunrise, and I said, would you like to see it? And he said yes. And so we sort of said, well, okay, I'll tell you what, instead of just having a video night, why don't we hire the cinema at the Gregson? I'll get a few mates in and it'll just be quite nice, be a bit of an event. So that's what we did, and we got enough people. And at the end of it, I kind of just said, would anyone like to do this again? And actually everyone that was there went, yes, we would. And it kind of grew and it became a bit more formal, and then we got a Facebook group, and so that's how it started.
Give me an idea of the type of films that you watch. Is there a specific era or a specific genre of films?
There isn't really a type, just what we kind of think is worth watching. I mean, it is not 100%, but it's 95% silent movies. So I could talk about the films that we are showing for the rest of this year. We've picked the films for the year. So we're showing It next, which is a Clara Bow movie. She was the original It girl. After that, Noah's Ark, which obviously is a biblical epic. I think it's directed by the same director as Casablanca. It was one of the very late silent movies, and I think it has got sound sequences. I've never seen it. So after that, The Chess Player, which is a kind of Napoleonic War epic. It's a French film. Blood and Sand, which is a Rudolph Valentino bullfighting film, I think. Then for Halloween, we try and do a horror movie, and this year we're doing Hexen, a kind of quite a weird film, a documentary, sort of semi-documentary, semi-drama about witchcraft. And it is really strange in a kind of really interesting way. So then November, we're showing Madame du Barry, which is French Revolution. And the reason we're showing that is just simply that I had a copy and it was like, I really want to kind of show this film at this. And then in December, we're doing just a selection of comedy stuff. But it's really just people just kind of in the club just sort of say, oh, I'd like to see some Buster Keaton films, or I'd like to see Clara Bow movie or whatever. And so there isn't a genre and there isn't really an era. But obviously with silent movies, there's only a kind of, from about 1916, maybe a bit earlier, to kind of 1930 at a push, really. So there's not that long a period where the films actually exist.
A lot of people, when they think of silent films, they probably think of slapstick and comedies. So they'll think of things like Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin and so on. But silent movies cover all genres, really, don't they? I mean, science fiction, comedy, dramas.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And in fact, everyone does think of comedy, and it's quite a common question. People say, are you showing Charlie Chaplin? And actually, we've only shown one Charlie Chaplin film in the 3 years that we've been going. We'll probably show some at Christmas this year. But no, silent movies did cover everything. Yeah, science fiction, Metropolis, people know that film, and it's a masterpiece. It is just a stunning, stunning film, and it's not a comedy at all. It's very serious. There's even, you couldn't really call them musicals, but there's films that have musical sequences, which is, like long dance sequences and stuff like that, which is not what you'd kind of think would be possible. But I suppose they're not what people think. Silent movies are not what people think they are. I suppose generally what most people think they are. When you actually see a few, you kind of start going, this is really much more interesting than I thought.
How did the interest in silent films start for you?
I was always interested in films from a very young age. Star Wars, when I was 9, came out. So I liked Star Wars, and that led me on to other films. And it got me to sort of see films like Metropolis, because I was interested in sort of science fiction. But back then, they were not, when they were projected, they were too fast. And there's that classic sort of idea of silent movies being a bit sped up. And you got that tinkly piano. And there was an element of like, this is interesting, but it didn't really blow me away. And then I went to see a film called Intolerance in November 1988 with an orchestra playing the music, a full, massive orchestra playing the music live. And it was just mind-blowing. It was just amazing. I've never been quite so sort of, I don't know what you call it, moved, gripped, just kind of taken out of myself into sort of another world. And it was just absolutely amazing. So I started looking out for them, and actually it was a feature of the London Film Festival that every year they would do a silent movie with an orchestra, and quite often they would just do them throughout the year. And so I remember going to see City Lights, which is a Chaplin film, with a friend. And when I told people that I was getting the usual kind of, Chaplin just wiggles his cane around and does funny walks. And I thought, well, so I went, and it was such a brilliant and emotional film. I mean, I think I was really lucky that those were the two films that I saw first. And I remember me and my friend came out and we were almost crying. I mean, it was so moving. That kind of cemented it. After that, I was hooked. And I'm finding that people that come to the club, you know, who coming not really knowing silent movies, they are getting hooked. Because I think these films are massively charming, apart from anything else. They do have just a lot of charm, really. And they're quite sophisticated, a lot more than I think people expect.
Tell us a little bit more about the club. How does it work? If people are interested, they want to come along and watch these classic films, what do they need to do?
Well, they just turn up at the Gregson on the time that we say and watch them. They don't have to pay if they don't want to. It's pay as you want. And that's it, really. I mean, there's nothing more to it. I mean, we don't have any kind of talk beforehand or anything like that. It's not about trying to understand these films or trying to sort of put them in some sort of sociological context or anything. It is just about enjoying them. Because, I mean, they are easy to enjoy and they're quite relevant, really. I mean, they're interesting, but they're enjoyable, you know. They're not museum pieces, I think that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, just turn up and we want audiences. So if people sort of think, well, I might not enjoy it, I don't want to pay, that's fine, just come along and give it a go. I think which is our next one, the Clara Bow movie. I haven't seen it, actually, but I get the impression it might be a good one to see. It's quite, I think it's quite fun. I mean, she was a big star. I think that might be a good one to start with if people are interested.
Give me the date and the venue.
It's the 20th of June, and I think we're starting the film at 8 o'clock, and it's at the Gregson, which is in Moor Lane in Lancaster, and it's just upstairs. But if you ask at the bar, they'll tell you. We would start the film at 8 o'clock, so you have to be there before 8 o'clock.
Right. Well, I hope that film buffs listening will be swarming to the Gregson to see it and enjoy it with the rest of the club. We'll share the details of your Facebook page so that everybody can have a look at that, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ray.
Ray, yeah, it was great to talk to Ray. Thank you, Ray, for your hospitality. The afternoon I came around to see you. And chat about the Silent Movie Club. All the details we've shared. If you go onto our Facebook and Twitter, we've shared the details, and there's a little poster which has all the films that are coming up and the dates. So all the details are on social media. I must also say, get well soon to Ray, who's had a knee op. So I did advise him to listen to the show tonight, put his feet up, relax, and just enjoy the show. So I hope you're on the mend and up and about soon, Ray.
I echo those sentiments.